Hello and welcome back to the RattleMind podcast. I'm Rye, and my co-host joining me, as always, is...
Hanchi.
And then, of course, this week's special guest is...
Potato of Death.
There we go.
Yay.
Yay. And for this week's video game topic, we have chosen Fallout 76. Another game that had a rough start.
For once, we have a console gamer with us that can talk about this, and he was there from the beginning, so take
Yep.
it away, David. Oh, just a disclaimer, too. This game is rated M for mature audiences, so mind who's listening or watching. I don't know what these pictures are going to show or what David's going to say about this game. So just be aware that this is not a kid-friendly episode.
All
right. Well, back in the old times,
back in the Appalachian Mountains,
she proceeded to buy me a video game when I was a young boy, and you see that video game there, it was pretty trash. You see, I grew up on the Fallout series. When I was a younger boy, I played the Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, somewhat to more success than my father. I hold that pride very highly above my head. But yet, whenever I played Fallout 76, it was like someone had removed the best part of the game. You see, the reason being is that it just works, was said by Todd Howard. Oh boy, was it said. It was said, and everyone was sad. In the olden days, everyone knew what was coming. You were either going to get the greatest game known to man, or you were going to get dog water.
That is not what you originally wanted to say.
I'm gonna say dog water. That's what we're going to say.
Okay.
Now you see, as a distinguished old man of playing 76 for so long on the console, I remember a time when the scrap boxes held only 500 and there was nothing you could do. Before that, it was 400. 400 pounds of weight for you to hold every little insignificant pile of can, crap, and gun you would ever want in a box, and then the weight you had on yourself, which relatively went out to about 300 to 400. If you were high level. If you were low level, it was only like 150, unless you immediately put all your points into strength, which I didn't, because I am stupid.
It's funny because in ARC, that's one of the first things I level up is weight capacity.
So, you see, it was terrible. It was awful for many reasons. It was low carry capacity. The enemies were very copy and paste. There wasn't very much variety. There was a lot of locations, though. It was very fun to explore the locations. I will give it that. There was tons of locations. The only problem was that the original story of Fallout 76 is nothing as it is compared to today. The original story was a man leaving a vault and screaming at the sky as he looked for holotapes and listened to the remnants of the last humans on the planet, as there were none left, and he was the only one alive. We could not find humans. There were no humans. There were no raiders. There were no people. There were no anything. It was just holotapes left behind by an overseer and various dead people.
This is a post-apocalyptic kind of setting, right? Like, that's the whole point. Yeah.
The resource wars is what kicked off the whole Fallout issue.
So, here's the thing about Fallout. When you played Fallout 3 specifically, and Fallout New Vegas, the whole shtick and spiel of the entire genre was that, basically, there were people that were still alive. outside of the vaults. There were people that had personalities. There were places you could go to. There were new things to discover, sure, and there were times where you would go places and everyone would be dead. And that is true. However, the way that the game made it feel was that, immediately as you exit the vault in Fallout 3, there's basically a settlement right there. And there are people to see that people are still surviving and trying to hang on, even though there's radiation everywhere, giant lizard monsters, and robo brains that have human brains in jars shooting at them with lasers. All right, and no matter what happens in all that time, you know that there are some good people that are trying to survive, and sometimes you could nuke that place, quite literally. And I do mean that. There was a nuke that you could
Yep.
detonate in the original one.
Megaton.
Now, that's why it was called Megaton, because the bomb was in the center of a crater, and they built a town around it. Like, so undetonated nuke, and you could detonate it with like the help of very stuck up, not very fun people in a tower that I normally killed all of because they were literally racist to ghouls. So anyway,
Except for
um,
one. Technically, one wasn't, but that was Herbert
except for
Daring
one,
Dashwood.
Herbert doesn't count. Herbert's a cool guy. I left him alive.
Oh,
That's because Argyle,
yeah.
died. Also, you could find his body in the original game. Not the point. Point is, the original spiel of the whole thing that made it feel good was that there was a ton of actual people that you could talk to kind of see how the world really was. But when it came to the kind of like incomprehensible man-made horrors type deal, you would normally find yourself in a vault where either everyone had died, everyone had gone crazy, everyone had drowned, everyone mutated into mutants. There were things that were just incomprehensible man-made horrors that lurked out there that were aside from the fact of all the people trying to survive. And it would really throw you through a loop because you'd be in a place that was super well like unlit, and it was like really eerie music when you would go in, and everything was trying to kill you the whole time, and you never knew what was going to come around that corner. You never knew if you were going to like happen to get jump scared by like say something running out from the side of the corner. You'd hear giant lumbering footsteps and there's a superman right as soon as you turn the corner. Later on you could get like a bunch of more stats that made that not necessarily as bad, but the point was there was a certain feeling to the way that the game played that made it to where certain things are good and there's hope, but also everything is awful. And that was only portrayed by the fact of those people. And in Fallout 76, that didn't happen because there were no people. There were robots, occasional robots, right? There was like Mr. Gutsies and Protectrons, and those robots are like, giving you quests or handing you a holotape, and then you just have to figure it out all yourself and follow the map markers. And it made for some pretty hollow gameplay because it was just, I look around the area, gather a bunch of garbage to put in my pockets, go to wherever the robot that talked to me last told me to go, and then get there and then do the same thing. Garbage, kill everything, loot. Garbage, kill everything, loot. And you would do it again and again and again. And eventually, like, everybody was just like, where's. Honestly, it wasn't even eventually. Everybody was just like at the beginning, where's the people?
Yeah.
Sir, where are the people? Where are the people?
Even
And
Raft added people. Like, that sounds pretty miserable.
so, um, at that point, playing 76 felt entirely different because it was like Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas, you could have man-made horrors in random locations, and there was also like technically conflicts with different factions where like the Brotherhood of Steel did this and that pissed off the NCR and that pissed off the and whatever, and basically like you had a bunch of factions head to head and you could choose a side and it would literally affect the outcome of the end of the game, and it would literally affect what happened in the storyline. And eventually it would ultimately either lead to your death, their death, or some death in some manner to ultimately end the conflict. But it was a way of like dealing with it that you could do a bunch of different things. You could kill everybody or nobody or some people. You could be diplomatic. You could side
Question.
with the side. What?
Was Fallout 76 like the first time they went multiplayer?
Multiplayer.
Yes, it
Yep.
was the first
Okay.
time they went
I'm trying to
multiplayer with the
distinguish like
franchise.
what like would warrant such a huge shift,
Exactly.
So it
So,
sounds like this is the first time that they tried to do like open world
well,
multiplayer
Well, not
stuff.
exactly open world, but through the context of Fallout, it was a first. Because
yeah.
we've played Elder Scrolls Online. They're the same
Yeah.
company that made Elder Scrolls Online.
Right.
Fallout
Oh.
76 was created by a different branch of Bethesda, not the
Mhm.
branch from. Oh crap! I don't remember where they're actually based at, but it's the
Yeah.
Austin branch is that one that made most of Fallout 76. Um,
Hmm.
So it's like the first time that they made Fallout multiplayer, but it's not the first time they made a multiplayer
yeah,
game. So like the
Oh,
Elder Scrolls they
gotcha.
made multiplayer, but Fallout that was
I
the
did
first time that
mean originally the first in the series, but
right.
I'm glad I
You are
know all
correct.
that too. Yeah.
Right. So the other thing is something that also pissed everybody off is that Fallout 76 is just Fallout 4 without the people. So Fallout 4 was the next in the series. It was like Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4. They took pretty much, and I do mean this, literally all the assets from Fallout 4 and
yes,
just
they did.
copy and pasted them. Just copy and pasted them. Did not change anything.
Wow.
Just copy and pasted them, and that's why it was so annoying that they couldn't get people right. It's like you just had to copy and paste. You had
Yeah.
all the models.
Why
What do
didn't they
you
just call
mean?
it Fallout 4 multiplayer?
Well,
Like
that's what
that's the
everyone
name.
wanted. They
That is what
wanted to.
everyone wanted.
Huh.
Yeah. Now here's the other thing though. Here's the other thing though. In my opinion, Fallout 3 fantastic. Fallout New Vegas better. Fallout 4 kind of you know. But I will say Fallout 4 you could get every perk in the game and it was like that's crazy. And that's something they kept in Fallout 76 where you can get all the perks in the game, but you can also interchange them and stuff. And I thought that was just an awesome idea. Like,
Yeah, the card system
would
is cool.
I really do like the card system. There were things that were really cool about the game, um, you know, that really made sense and really worked for a multiplayer standpoint. Like you can't have everyone be a god of death walking around like you could in the other three games, but you can make them be somewhat lethal to each other. You know, because in the other three games you could just be great at everything. You know,
Yep.
and that would just kill everything. Whereas in this one, you have to pick and choose what you're good at, but you could swap that out. You could ultimately be, a guy that uses big machine guns, and then go, "No, I don't like that right now. I'm going to switch to using a chainsaw," and you can do that, and you can legitimately just pick and choose all your perks and flip them in there. The other thing though is that when they finally did introduce people, because I think it took them, what was it, 2 years to even mention doing so?
Yeah, what was it?
Yeah, it was a ridiculous amount of time. Um, they went and they were like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna make people now, and we're gonna give you an ability to leave the original place and go to the pit. Which, if you don't know anything about Fallout, the pit was a DLC um, for Fallout 3, which also is Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Um, Fallout 76. Fallout 76 takes place in West Virginia, which incidentally, all the hype that was brought up because some guy started singing the country roads. They literally paid a man so much money to make such a great
Well, no, they
rendition
didn't
of
pay.
country
Yeah,
roads.
for the
But
longest
like,
time, were they
they didn't pay.
using John Denver's version? I don't remember.
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
They paid him.
John
They paid him
Denver's dead,
finally.
so John Denver had died a long time ago.
Well, they paid his
His
family.
estate, yeah.
Yeah. The point being, oh no, wait, was it John Denver? I could have sworn that they had a new guy do it. Like they
They
had a
might
new guy.
have.
Like, yeah, it doesn't matter. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. The point being is that they paid the guy. Ultimately, though, when they did finally put people in after like 2 years, um, it was lackluster in the main area, but a lot of people really liked the pit. So they made, more things to do in the pit. But once you're done with those things, you got to come back to Appalachia. You got to come back to West Virginia. You can't stay in Pittsburgh forever.
Right.
And a lot of people didn't like having to come back. And the reason was because after you explore everything, even with the added people, if you were a person who was there since day one, there were missions that you already completed that you can't do again. That you would have to create a new character to experience like what it's like to have new people. Like the big difference between what it was and what it is now is like example would be I originally remember coming out of the vault and there was just immediately robots attacking, like communist
Yeah,
robots.
the little.
And you walk through a town that's completely barren and destroyed and ransacked, and you finally find an interactable character that is a robot that simply failed at saving people's lives. Okay? And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the best way I can describe the beginning intro of that game. And then now it's like as soon as you exit the vault, there's two people arguing about what's going on and how there's treasure supposedly somewhere. And then you go to a bar that's just down the street where they're like, "Hey, I'm gonna shoot you," says a guy, and then they get shot by the bar owner. And you like get on a whole quest. It's like an actual streamline flowing instead of like wandering and hoping you hit someplace. And that's what it
Right.
was. It was wandering and hope you hit someplace.
That's cool.
So yeah, now they've added a bunch more stuff, but the other thing is there was nothing to do for the longest time because people had already completed all those quests. Some of the quests were new, so they would just like, have to do them that way, but other things they just legitimately were like, "Oh, well, it's already done. You can't do it again." And so there would be nothing left to do in West Virginia except for the pit and the newest quests that they came out for everybody else. And then they basically made it where it's like, do you want to play on a new character and do that all over again? Because that's what you might have to do to actually experience it well. And not a lot of people wanted to give up all their progress on that one character,
Yeah.
you know? So
Yeah, I'm sure there
ultimately,
were a lot
people,
of pissed off diehard fans that like
oh my
accepted
gosh.
it as it was
And
and rolled with it.
that's not even the worst of it. The worst of it is whenever people ordered pre-orders of the game, they were supposed to get
Oh, the.
special bags, special items, special things. So there's this big commodity in the game called Nuka-Cola. It's basically Coca-Cola with radiation, and they can't call it that, so they call it Nuka-Cola. And so they have this Nuka-Cola, and it's a big staple of the series. It's like a thing that if you saw Nuka-Cola, you'd immediately go, "That's Fallout," and there's nothing you could do about it. They went ahead and they offered people who bought collector's editions,
The Nuka
Pit
Cola
Boys.
Dark. Oh, that
Hold on,
was. Yeah.
Pit Boys, working Pit Boys. Now, Pit Boys are in the game. They're how you check your inventory in the game. Okay, they had a system of Pit Boys that were like real life modeled wristbands that would hold your phone that you could download an app to monitor your in-game inventory with and fix on your wrist in real life.
That was
No.
originally with Fallout 4. With
Right.
Fallout
And they
76, they incorporated it too.
right. But the problem was when it first came out, it was bad.
Oh, yeah.
It was terrible. The materials were crap and they stayed crap. And then whenever it came to 76, that was a part of your pre-order. You could get that and a Vault Tech bag and you could get a Nuka-Cola Dark. And so
Well,
Vault Tech bags were supposed to be these big duffel bags and everything. And and they were made out of this cheap polystyrene crap, and they tore.
Yeah. The full thing is that with Fallout 76, the pre-order item was the Vault-Tec bag and a power armor helmet.
That
Then they,
too. I forgot about that.
yeah, then they had to recall some of the power armor, the helmets, because the padding inside the helmet would get mold in them. Now there was debate on which version of the helmet was, whether it was the one that was through GameStop where you could purchase the helmet individually, or if it was the pre-order.
Mm.
But there were so many controversies about the other products that they launched, because, like you said, the bags that were originally supposed to that appeared with the pre-order were supposed to be
Thick, durable,
thick,
military
yeah,
grade
military
stuff.
grade stuff, and what you got
Wow.
was a nylon, cheaper
Now,
than a tarp
yeah.
type of
Now I'm gonna
thing.
say this. When we say military grade and we're thinking in civilian terms, we think like really good tier stuff, maybe made of ballistic fiber. When people in the military hear military grade, they know the worst shit imaginable. I just want to say
Exactly,
that.
that is so true. Because in the military, they always buy stuff from the cheapest bidder. That's how it
Yep.
works.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
and then
Huh.
they did a jacket, Fallout 76 jacket, and it literally looked
hmm
like they just took a blue tarp and
hmm
plastered Fallout 76 on it.
Yep.
Uh,
Nah, yep, it was terrible. Now, another one is the Nuka-Cola Dark that I know specifically about. They
Okay.
had a product of Nuka-Cola Dark where basically Nuka-Cola Dark is supposed to be like rum and Coke. So because Coca-Cola can't be Coca-Cola, it's not rum and Coke, it's Nuka-Cola Dark. So, thing is, it was supposed to be the alcoholic version of Nuka-Cola, and you could get it in game in Fallout 4 because Fallout 4 came out with Nuka World, where you could actually go to like a amusement park for Nuka-Cola, because Nuka-Cola's been in all the games and it's always been kind of like maybe a place you could visit the place of, but you never got like an amusement park. That shit was crazy. It was awesome, but what they did was they were like, "We'll make Nuka-Cola Dark, and you can have it." And they played it like it was supposed to be an actual glass bottle that
Yep.
had a version of spiced rum and Coke in it that was going to be in this bottle that you could either keep forever and whatever. It was supposed to be made of glass and a metal bottle cap that would have Nuka-Cola on it, and it was supposed to be a collectible item. Okay, it was supposed to be really high quality because I don't remember how much it was for one of them, but it was a ridiculous price. It was like $80 or some shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
whoa.
rum
Yeah.
inside it was not even worth 20
The rum
bucks.
inside, yeah, the rum inside it was also the cheapest rum they could find, which you couldn't even get good rum. So to give you an idea, this is supposed to be a whole glass bottle, and the whole thing behind the new Nuka-Cola bottles, because the old ones used to be differently shaped in the original games.
Yeah, they looked a little too much like
A
actual
little too much.
Coca-Cola bottles.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they had to change the shape of the bottle for 4. But so they basically changed it to where they have little, it kind of looks like a rocket, like a nuke,
Yeah, if you look
That's
at
what
the
it
shared
Yeah,
screen,
he's
you can see
got.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been staring at this picture. It's like that's a wild bottle. I kind of like that shape.
Yeah, right. Now, Nuka-Cola Dark, they sent it to people after they had convinced people it was all going to be this collectible glass. It was a plastic brown enclosure around a glass bottle.
Yeah, you basically had to break the plastic thing to get it open too.
Yeah. Yep. So if you wanted to keep it as a collectible, you could keep it as collectible in the sense of like, it's a plastic thing you can't ever open, but they had a plastic cap over top of it that went over the top of the real cap. They had a plastic surrounding that went over top of the glass bottle, and the glass bottle wasn't even as big as the plastic thing. It was literally just like a regular bottle of rum and coke in there. Like it was ridiculous. And all they had to do was make a glass bottle shaped like a rocket, nuke, or whatever, and put a bottle cap on it with rum and coke in it. It didn't even have to be good rum and coke.
Yeah, because no
They
one would
could
have
have made
opened it.
exactly. And the best part is, they could have legitimately done that and made tons of money. They didn't do it. And so everybody returned their stuff.
It's a
Nobody
little
wanted that.
too realistic to the game. It's all post-apocalyptic quality.
It's worse than post-apocalyptic.
What's fucked up is that the game had better quality of their Nuka-Cola than we did. It was
Exactly. You actually could get drunk off of that stuff in the game. And this, you'd puke before
yeah,
you could even get drunk.
ridiculous,
Ugh.
ridiculous. It was absolutely the worst, and it was like the worst rum ever, and it was terrible. And so they had all these different
So
things,
was this to
farces.
promote Fallout 76?
Yep, yep,
So it
all
was
of
all
it.
promotional stuff for when it first came out, right?
Yep,
The rum
and
and
it's
coke
like
came out like 3 months after the game, but yeah.
yeah, but still, it was
Oh, okay.
promotional. It was still promotional though, but they didn't really have a game until like 2 years in. So, not to mention that like they had like series of quests in the games, and then eventually there was nothing to do. So they had to find a way to keep their player base. So they started this thing called events, right? And there would be random things that would pop up and lead you astray from what you were normally doing to have you go over there. The problem was at the time it was just still awful because these events would. Here's the thing that I don't like that they did in the game. Originally, you could fast travel to any location that you found, right? The problem
Pretty
was,
standard.
right. The problem was they didn't like how players could, just go anywhere on the map. So what they did was to start the game, they made it to where it charges you caps, which is the in-game
Yep.
currency, to fast travel.
Okay, that's
So
kind of like Guild Wars. Guild
Yeah,
Wars
well,
2.
it would make
yeah,
sense, but there's no other people around, so why would you be paying to fast travel?
right. And
Because
then
you're not
there's
paying for a car or anything to take you
yeah,
someplace.
and the cars are all screwed anyway. But the point being is that like we don't have any people around us in the first place. Who are we paying caps to? We're just throwing caps on the ground before we leave. Like
They're magic when it comes to traveling.
yeah, and it's just like it was just a way to extort caps out of the player base, so that way they didn't just travel too far. Now a lot of people got out of that because you can freely fast travel to your own camp and to certain locations like the Vault 76. So some people would put their camp down way lower on the map or way higher, so that way if they needed to get to the middle of the map, they could go to Vault 76. If they needed to get high, they could go up there and they could do that and fast travel from there, so it costs way less.
Oh, you mean like more north? But when,
Right.
when you said higher, I pictured it like in the sky. I was like, you can do that.
Nope. Well, technically, yes, you could do that at the beginning. Now, here's something that I kind of hate that they removed. So because the game, and this ultimately is what pissed off the most people, the game was broken. There was no people. Everything was awful. They had spent their $60 and everything was still awful. Their pre-orders were dog shit. Everything was bad. There was nothing good. There was no good quality bags. There was no good quality helmets. There was no good quality Nuka-Cola Dark. There was no good quality, period.
Yep.
Right.
So what people did to fill the void of quality was random fuck shit. Okay? So what they would do is they would
I was
build
not
bases
expecting.
under the map. They would build bases that led under the map.
Whoa.
Okay. They built bases that could like clip through the map if done right and let you just walk through the ground. It was super fun. They made it to where they could build bases that would eventually they could delete the bottom part of a base and then like the top part would still be floating. There was a little gimmick to get it done, but you could do it. And then you could just have an entirely floating base up in the sky shooting missiles down.
I love the
Okay,
if we don't have a good game, let's just exploit the crap out of it until it is a good game mentality.
exactly. That is what everyone did. And so the other thing was playing it by yourself, you felt like an insane person trying to just, like I said, shouting at the sky, collecting holotapes. But if you played it with your friends, you could just do random shit and it would be hilarious. Okay? And another thing that they really fucked up on, personally, is that they had the scrap boxes be that 400 pounds. So people found out ways to go exceed past the 400-pound limit. And see, once your uh, load of equipment got to 400 pounds, there was a way to get it to where you could pull items back into your inventory that would, in fact, go over. Basically, you would create crops on the ground like corn and tomatoes and shit like that, right? And then you would scrap those, and it would cause them to fill up your box. Well, the box doesn't understand that you're already at almost max value. It just knows to store the things. So you would go over the 400, and then you could put as much shit as you wanted in that box. You could
And
put
that only
infinite
works with
things.
crops?
It could work with crops, it could work with other things, but it really depended upon if it went into the box when you scrapped it.
Have they
And
since like fixed all these glitches that you're talking about?
they have, and that was actually the thing that pissed a lot of people off, is because they've only
Oh.
got 400 carry weight. They've only got really shitty dialogue with robots, and they're just trying to make the game fun, and they're trying to do little exploits here or there. Another thing is all of the vendors only had 200 caps each. There were 7 different kinds of vendors for a total of $1,400 that you could get every day, and it would
Yep.
refresh at the end of the day, or it would refresh if you went to a new server. Well, they didn't really like the server hop much, so they made it to where it was per person. So it wasn't, 24 hours on a server. It was 24 hours for that character, which started to piss people off. And then they were like, it's not good enough. You're server hopping to get items. You're server hopping to get caps out of cap stashes, which are little boxes that have caps. And people were like, but we don't have anything else to do. And they were like, we don't care. And they removed your ability to server hop to get caps from cap stashes. And they removed a grenade glitch where you could infinitely pick up grenades out of a trap disarmament, which would give you
Ew.
infinite levels because you get experience each time you pick up grenades. And if you spammed it, it wouldn't stop because it wouldn't technically count as it be done yet because you were still doing it. It would restart the count basically, right?
Hmm.
So they're doing all these things and they're trying to have fun with it. They're trying to make money in the best way they can. They're gathering up grenades and experience and crazy stuff, right? And Bethesda isn't like that one bit. So Bethesda decides it's time for us to unleash bans on certain things, and they would ban people that had above the carry weight limit in their stash box.
Yep.
Whoa.
And they went ban crazy like mad.
Yeah, they
People were
banned
getting
people.
people were getting banned for possibly having a duplicated item. They didn't even
Yep,
have to actually have done the duplication. They could have just had someone give it to them, and boom, the account got banned.
yep,
Holy crap. How long
yeah.
after this game came out did they like start cracking down like that?
Oh, it
It was,
was relatively soon after it came out. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, so it's not like
Well, the point being is
just
like
I'm
it
just
was.
trying to figure out where the turning point is because you've
Well,
been playing
so
a lot lately. Um,
okay, yeah. Well, I'll get to the turning point. The point being is
okay.
like there's so much garbage to go through. It's hard to
oh
get to the
yeah,
turning point.
Right. I feel like
So
I don't know if we are at the half hour mark, but I feel like we
oh yeah,
are.
we're
I'm
way
like
past the half-hour mark.
don't. We're gonna be here a minute. It's
this
okay.
game was
Don't
so screwed from the get-go.
let it happen. Just let it happen. All right.
I am. It's just like my
Well,
mind is like blown at how how bad it got. Like
So
That's
they were banning
and they're
people that
still
spent
in
$60
business.
on a game that didn't have people, had bad everything, and there were people were honestly so pissed. They
Oh,
were getting refunds, people were angry, people were not having it. There was almost a class action lawsuit. I think there actually was. I'm pretty
I was
sure.
gonna
well,
say I'd be surprised if
one
not.
of the ways to get unbanned was to write an essay telling why duping is bad on video and cheating in video games is bad. And even at that, they still would keep you permanently banned.
Yep. They were terrible. So, if I remember correctly, when they started to put out people finally is whenever everything started to turn around.
Yes.
And the thing is, um, they started to unban people. They actually took the concern because for the longest time their numbers just dropped. Okay, and it really
Whoa.
dropped when they started banning people. Everyone was like, "I'm saving my account for later," and left. Okay, the only reason that it's even grown in popularity again, as much as it has, is because they unbanned people. They stopped being as shitty about some things,
Was there
but
like a change in people at
there
the
might have been. We
whatever it's
don't
called?
know.
A
To be
little
honest,
bit.
we don't know.
It was, let's see, if I remember right, it was right before the ZeniMax acquisition by
Oh
Microsoft.
yeah.
What they
Yep.
basically did was they did all this unbanning to make themselves look better for the sale to
Mhm.
Microsoft.
Yep. And that's what they did. But then, that was obviously just a PR stunt. But then they started still kind of cracking down on certain things. See, because when you get into big games like this that have RNG and roles and stuff like MMOs, which this kind of is in a sense. I mean, it is an MMO, but that's not the point. Point is, you develop a certain type of person that has no life to the game and has everything in it, or all the plans to make everything, or has everything you could ever want, and they want money. And they don't just want in game money, they want real life money for the things that you want. You can play in game money, you could trade a bunch of stuff, and they could be like, yeah, that's cool. I might take that. That's fine. However, they might also be like, you know, I saw offers on Reddit, I saw offers on different websites for people to have you give them $5, $20 to get a set of serum plans or a certain type of weapon, a certain type of role of weapon. All right. And if you pay them actual real life money, they give it to you. And they're
Yep.
supposed to because there's like a contractual thing with the website where they will get banned from it and they can't make money anymore if they don't. So,
I'm
that
surprised
said,
they allowed that.
well, technically, they can't stop it.
Oh, I see. It's kind of an under the radar.
Well, it's
What did
not really an under
what
the radar thing. Everybody knows it exists, but are you going to really ban everybody who has so many hours that you just got done unbanning just so you can stop them from making money and piss almost everyone
True.
off? Because the
True.
people who don't want to spend infinite time pay real life money to people who have spent infinite
Mhm.
time who deserve the money they believe, and the people who pay them agree. So, ultimately, are you going to stop them? No. No, that would kill your game. Can't do that. But what you can do is you can implement things that make it technically really hard for people to do that. Like what they recently did when they made it to where they banned all legacy energy weapons that have explosive and two shot. You're not supposed to be able to get explosive on energy weapons, they say. And they banned it after, I think, what was it, 7 years of this game being out? Because originally they had banned they basically made it to where you couldn't get them anymore, right? So that increased the price, was all that did. Because since you can't get them anymore, the people that still have them, that costs money now.
Ooh.
That costs money now.
Dang.
Okay. So people are spending lots of money, and Bethesda isn't getting any money of that. So they're pissed. They're angry. They don't like not getting money for the thing that they supposedly built really good, which they didn't. So they recently banned all the energy weapons that have explosive, and they not only messed up a bunch of people's different builds, they pissed off all the people who are making money doing this. And so a lot of people are actually entirely quitting the game. So what did they say? They said, well, since you're quitting the game, that's fine with us. And they made it free on the PS Plus store.
Yep.
And that was the reaction to them getting angry at Bethesda for doing this. Because what they did was they didn't, replace the explosive with a different 3-star effect that was randomized. No, they just simply took the third star off and removed the explosive from it. So instead of having a 3-star weapon that has 3 effects, they now only have a 2-star weapon that has 2 effects that's kind of worthless because it doesn't have the explosive on it.
And then they made it free, which invited a bunch of people who don't know any better, who've never played before, and
to
to get
take
that
their
player
place.
base back up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's sly. That's sly.
It is. It is extremely sly. But that is exactly what they did. So there are things that they're still doing that are really fucked up. However, that's mostly a thing from, I'm assuming, big management because they don't like not making the money that the people are making for having weapons in game. So the people who worked on it put in people, unbanned people, and who actually thought this was a good idea and did some good things. I like those people. And we all know those people are just random developers that they hired, not actually like the upper management at this point. Somebody said, you know what we can do to boost our PR? How about we actually give the players what they want? That would be cool. And they're like, yeah, that's really good, but we can only do it in small amounts. You know?
Yeah.
So the only reason I've come back is because ultimately every one of my friends likes Fallout. So do I. And so the concept of having a multiplayer Fallout is nice. But no one wanted to pay for it. So since it's free, no one has to pay for it. And if we get banned, we didn't lose anything because we didn't pay for it. And ultimately, that's the thing that Bethesda or the team at Bethesda that works on this game may not understand is that the only people you're getting back are the people who left for 3-4 years and actually know what's up already, and you only have a minute amount of people that are coming back that are actually new.
Yeah.
And they're hoping that that's what's happening, that the new people are coming back, and it's just people who didn't want to have to pay for the game. So,
And with
that
that,
being said,
we're going to have to wrap it up here. We're way over
fun.
time. Yeah.
That is a fascinating story about a game, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that have similar tales, but not as
none quite as like aggressive.
Yeah.
yeah, sounds exactly like that. Yeah.
All right.
Well, it's been great.
Thank you for joining us. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Any final words from you guys?
Don't pay for Fallout 76.
Well, Steam has some pretty good sales.
Amazing.
Well, yeah, I guess if any of you have Fallout stories, please let us know in the comments. Thanks for joining us.
All right.
And take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.